Gemara in Shabbos, Daf Kuvov, says, Echad ben achabura shemes, tidag kol achabura kulo. Betzalel was not just Echad ben achabur. He was Echad hamiyuchad shebachabur. I know. I'm part of achabur. The first thought that went through my mind when I heard the Psura Ruah, the call came through to the house. I was learning. My wife took it. I came out. I was talking to her and go the next day to New Haven to visit. She said to me, "It's over. He's not here anymore." The first thing that went through my mind was, Echon Achabur Shemes. Tidak Kol HaChabur Kula. He was the Echad HaMiyuchad Shebachabur. Now, this is an interesting Gemara. All Gemaras are interesting. But this one is interesting for right now. Echad HaChabur Shemes. So what should I do? Tidak Kol HaChabur. Worry. What should I do? I go to a therapist. What should I do? As I read, that's how Chazal taught. Tell me what to do. Not only that, one might think that this Gemara is a godech. It's a halacha. It's a Rambam in Hilchos Ovel. It's a Sif in Shulchan Aruch. Hilchos Ovel. Shin Tzaddik Daled. Sif Hey. Did I call a Chabura? So what should I do? Walk around like a nervous wreck. It doesn't Chazal all them. That's for sure. It wasn't Uftam with them. The Rambam tells us. It's a good idea, it's Rambam. Good idea, all Rambams. Time's limited. It's very interesting. We know, or she will certainly know, that the Rambam does not bring things that are not in the Gemara. The Kiyah Sefer, the Mabit says in Kiyah Sefer, Darko Shel Rabbeinu, to bring Dukim to the Gemara. He doesn't make up cases and he doesn't make up things. It's all the Gemara. This Rambam, nobody seems to know the marker for it. I'm not saying, I haven't seen all this form, I didn't see Chaim Kanevsky's Kiyas Melech, but the Mishnah says on this Rambam, one second, Divrei Rabbeinu, Re'uyim Elov. But he says, pass for the Rambam. There's no more, I don't have the Rambam. Call me she'eno mis'abel kemo shetzivu chachomim. Whoever's not mis'abel, the way Chazal told us to be mis'abel, Harei ze arzori. He's cruel. Who's he cruel to? Elo, so what should you do? Yefachid. Should be afraid. V'yidag. The Gemara's Shloshim. Should worry. But what do you do about it? Now the Ram tells us the answer. V'yefashpesh b'maiso v'yalza b'tshuva. And then the Rambam says, he puts it together with the Misablim. The Misablim have to be doyagim. Why? Not stop walking around in a haze, what's going to happen to me? No, that's ridiculous. Hashem gave a clap here. He gave a clap to everyone in the Chabur. Everyone in the Chabur. We have to think about things. What are getting hit for? And then the Rambam continues. He gives the Gemara says that the Avelim, then goes back to the family. The first 2 days they should see the Minas Hadin, the Chera over here, till Shivit the Chera a little further, till Shloshim a little further. But listen how he finishes. Kol zeh. All this that I'm telling you, that when someone is nifter in your group, your family, but we're talking about the Chabura, that you should be mefashpish for mice from the chayz b'tshuva, kol zeh kidei lahochin atzmo, to prepare himself, larzor, to come back, v'yeir mishnoso, he should wake up from his sleep. Harehu oimer brings a posuk in Yirmiyah. He kisa oisam v'loy cholu. Yirmiyah says to HaKadosh Baruch, he kisa oisam, you hit them. They weren't doing tshuva. They were not behaving properly at that point. Yirmiyah says, he kisa oisam, he gave him a clap. The loy cholu. What does it mean loy cholu? They didn't get sick. Says the Mitzudis, he kisa oisam, why'd you hit him? Laman yivosru l'toiv lahem. Hashem doesn't hit us for no reason. Doesn't hit us to punish us. Mistake. He hits so that we should take Musar, and it's good for us. But they didn't get sick. What do we mean? Lo nasu cholim min ha'akol. They didn't get sick from the Betzalel. What do we mean? Lo higishu. They didn't feel shebo aleim lo oirer libam l'tshuva. That's the Yirmiyah's Taina Klal Yisrael. He said, you hit them. They didn't realize that this was given to them to wake them up and to do tshuva. Says the Rambam, Kol ze kedei lahochen atzon larzo v'yeir mishnoso. V'areyu aimer, hikisa oisam v'lo cholu. Michlal shetzorich lahokitz v'lochol. You got to wake up. It's very interesting. This Rambam, I didn't look much in Achreinim if people tell it so, but this Rambam is very reminiscent of another famous Rambam. Personally, I believe he's being meramis to that, but I didn't really have time to work that through. The Rambam says in Tshuva, the famous Rambam, Afal Pi, Shetkiya Sheifa b'Rosh Hashanah Gzeres HaKosov, the famous Rambam. Even though Tkiya Sheifa on Rosh Hashanah is like Gzeres HaKosov, we don't know. We don't know why Hashem gave us. Remez Yeshbo, there's a Remez in Tkiya Sheifa. What is it? Kolomar, Uru Mishenaschem, wake up from your sleep. Vehakitzu, wake up near domim, sleepyheads, mitadamaschem. Semamish, semamuglo mamish. Uru, that's yeyem mishnoso. Vehakitzu near domim, mechashet tzorich lahakitz. So the Rambam do that just as the shofar, I mean, I'm laying that soon, but just as the shofar is a wake-up call, as they say today, wake up, my friends, and get better. So is the ptira of Echon and Achabura. For us, we are not interested in other cheshbonis. That's Hashem's cheshbonis. We don't ask those questions. Why, what, when? It's not our business. It's for us a wake-up call to do tshuva. That's what it says in Rambam. He asked me, the guy standing his nuts, do tshuva in the middle of Sivan. It's 3 months to Lel. But I used to tell the people here, might as well do tshuva now and beat the late season rush. Anyway, Seichem Hashabur Shemaz is to get us to become better people, to get us to do tshuva. The Matorah of tonight's gathering, as I understand it, I didn't organize this gathering. I was asked to come. I did speak to the Rav a long time ago after the period that I felt, and spoke to a few of the people here, that I felt it was important that we should do it because the Levaya people couldn't really speak. The Matorah, as I understand it, is not to be Oyer Bechi. We're not here to be Oyer people to cry. Because the truth is, just as in Nisan, you're not allowed to be Oyer people to Bechi, Shloshim Yom before the Regal, you're also not allowed to be Oyer people to Bechi. I told, not the Harwards, by the Levi, who were standing next to each other, I told them, I said, Past Betzalel, his Levi should be on a day when we can't be Moyer Lebechi. He wouldn't want anybody to cry. I'm sure of it. That wasn't his speed. He wanted people to smile. He wanted people to laugh. Now, as this Asifa, he also worked it out. I tried to get it in before the 30 days. We couldn't make it. Shabbos came there. Again, the time we can't be Moyer Lebechi. So we're not here to be Moyer Lebechi. I disagree, but Matthias Quater Ross, a mispaid mar. It's not a mispaid mar. It's a mispaid. There's no Mariris tonight. It was a non-tziontiv. What is the Matorah then? The Matorah is, as I'll be honest with you, when we set this up, I wasn't sure if I was going to come because it says in Hatzor V'Masveh Shloshim Yom before the Regal. So I sent my son in Yitzchak in Toronto into Shlomo Milner to ask him, can I go? Now, I happen to have heard him speak at a Shloshim 3 days before Shavuos, so about 10 years ago. He told him that we are makel today because when we speak at a Shloshim, we're generally not more Tebechi. We speak Shvochim of the Nifter. That's okay. That's what he told him. Therefore I came. So, our Matorah is to say the Shloshim, as we've heard. I mean, there really is not much meat to me. Moisef, everyone said it already. Most of the people here knew him better than I did, really. But to speak of his Shloshim, but I'm going to take it one step further. Not stam to praise him. He wouldn't like that. The truth is, I don't think he's so happy about it. But from those milas that we could speak of, we can learn. We can be mafashbes from ha'asenu. We can do tshuva. We can be ma'ire. We can be mekitzim. We can get better. Doesn't matter ha'asenu tonight. Mine, anyway. It's interesting because Chaim Shmulevitz used to say, he used to say, I heard him say it twice, once by Levi and once by Shloshim. He used to say, the Ike for a hesped is uplearning from the nifter. Het was schijnend, dat is hesped eigenlijk. Uplearning from the nifter. To learn something from the nifter. So we'll speak in his praise, not to praise him. I mean, he deserves praise, but that's not the end goal right now. So that we can learn from those praises, that we should be like that. So we're going to try and point out some milas, essentially that already been said. What can you do? Hard to tell the speaker when he's prepared to cut it all out. I don't have the scissors either. So we're gonna sort of grab onto some of his milas. Some I say, and it goes cool and we can't. I can speak to you for 10 hours, you understand. And even if I did, do I know all his milas? The man was an Oman Mutzna, as a Betzalel says on Ripsfeld Salanta. An Oman Mutzna. He was an artisan that was hidden. He hid himself. So I don't know all his milas, I'll tell you the truth, I don't. Certain ones I know that we will speak about. And truthfully, it was a judgment call if I should speak. Because on one hand, it's not Betzalel, I know that. I know that. He will not be happy with me. Because any time, the years I was in this shul, and here upstairs, and any time somebody, me, another person, would say something nice about him, you could see him cringing. He's not happy with me, I'm sure of that. But, mitzad sheni, there's a ta'elas harabim here. There's a ta'elas harabim for us bringing out his milas, so that we can learn from them. It was them Torah Seinu. And I thought it's a very interesting thing. A shayla like this, should I talk about this in shul? Should I not talk about it in shul? It's a judgment call, you know what I mean? Who would I talk it over with? Rabbi Betzalel. He sat right over there, where you're sitting. Always with the Gemara open. I would come in and sit down where you're sitting and talk over what should we say to show that. But Bavanosei Harabim, Betzalel was not here to talk it over with. So I made the judgment, I made the decision on my own. I had no choice. I decided to do it. And I asked Betzalel to be meichel me if I made a mistake. Al Gimel Dvorim, Hoyle Moimet, Torah, Avodah, Ukmilos Chasod. Lom again, one after the other. Torah. I got it settled. My wife picked up. I call it a settle. You call it an email. It's my health mother, you know. I'm technologically ignorant. I call it a settle. It's got settled. So the settle says here, Lon ve'ohola shel Torah kol yomov. Torah. Lon ve'ohola shel Torah kol yomov. You know what it means? He slept, really, that's the expression we use. He slept in the tent of Torah all his life. There really is not much more you have to say about a person, really, but, you know, we have an expression in Yiddish. It's not so easy to translate it. Betzalel ot lieb gehat lernen. Translated in English doesn't sound so great, but he loves to learn. Now, lieb haben lernen is a madrega into itself. I'm going to say something now, you're probably going to think I'm off, but I'm not. I'll prove it soon. One can be a Talmud Chacham. I happen to know them. I deal with a lot of Talmud Chacham. With the neighborhood I live in, a lot of them. I know Talmud Chacham, but they don't leave them Torah. They don't. They learn. Not saying no, but leave them the Torah. That's an under zach. I'll tell you another thing. One cannot know and leave Torah. I'm not nuts. I may be, but not for this reason. Rabbi Yen is over. This coming week's Ovis, Perik Aleph, Ezu Chochem. Good shaila, Ezu Chochem. If we knew the answer, it would be good. Listen to this, Rabbi Yen. Kayodea kol hachochmois. You're talking about a person who knows everything. Kol hachochmois. Im eino oyev es hachochmo. If he doesn't love the chochma. So you can have somebody who knows everything and hot nish lieb le'omen. What is such a person? Einoi chochem. V'halo tipishu. Everything is on. You got a guy that knows Shas. Shas Bavi Shalmi. And hot lieb Torah. Is that tipish? Rabbi Yen. You know, I couldn't say this. Rabbi Yen. Why is he a tipish? Acher she'enenu oyev es hachochma. Now, oyev oiso umisave eleo. One who loves the Torah and desires the Torah, afal pi she'en yadei klum, even though he knows nothing, hareze nikra chochem. Not bad. Become a chochem not knowing anything. Not good, boy. It's probably not so easy to love the Torah. Shall call upon him yasog el chochem, because he will become a chochem. The one who learns and desires Torah will get her. That's how the system works. At least got there. At least got long. I have say explain it better. At least got long. Every mixer was learning. Reb Shmuel, yeah. Instead of the mice, I told him about a shiva. Not exactly, we'll say it over, but the first time I met him, I didn't know who he was. I'd never seen him in my life. Just moved into Muncie. Then I was going into Osamer. He was coming out in the parking lot. He was coming out from Shachris, not from Mashiach. He was coming out from Shachris. And he was running to the bus to go to work. He came out with his, Tal Zekland and a Gemara there too. And he was running. I wasn't running. I was going. I wasn't such a big rush, but he stops me. I know a guy from Adam. I never saw the man in my life. He asked me a kasha on that day's daf. I don't remember what daf it was. I don't remember the asked. I don't know if I answered him. I don't remember. That I remember. And he said over correctly, I thought to myself, this is a guy I got to get to know. This guy's running to the bus to go into the city to work. He stops in a parking lot to ask some schmo, I don't know who I was, a kasha on the daf. Das kommt von haben lieb lernen. He thought it was an opportunity. He happened to be wrong. He thought it was an opportunity to get an answer. So he grabbed the opportunity. Wenn man hat lieb azar, you grab it. I remember the early years I was here in Muncie. He still used to go into the city on a bus. Later he stopped, used to work at home, but then again he used to stand on 306 around here. The bus would come down from the new square. So often I was driving back from Davin, I used to pass him on the street. He was standing there on 306. But I get more. How many people have you seen lately on 306? What do you more? Maybe you saw a lot. I never did. I never saw a person do it. It's going from Liebhaber. He has 2.5 minutes till the bus comes down. Why not? Why not? I'm busy. I think so. Hey, but leave. This is your love of your life, as they say. Of course you can open a Gemara. Yeah, 2.5 minutes. Why not? You can write them 3 lines of Gemara with a Rashi even. Anytime I walked into this Beis Medrash, I usually came a few minutes before the davening. Anytime I walked in here, he was sitting there with an open Gemara. I'm telling you, anytime I came in, before Shachas, before Mincha, before Meir, before I started coming, he was sitting right over there with the Gemara. I assume learning the daf, that I don't know, but. And how many times did he go through the daf yomi? How many marzoyim did he go through? I don't know. He told me the truth. I don't remember. He said 3, he said 4. Whatever it is. I don't know too many people like that either. I don't know if I know anything like that. He definitely said 3 marzoyim. It was 4 already finished. This. I don't know. And he did it with a Gemara, you know what I mean? What to find a Gemara these days? Not the English books, a Gemara. I have a few in my house. It's very hard to find them. That's what he used. We learned here, before Mincha on Shabbos, in the winter, so we speak after Mincha, we learned Minchas Chinuch. 6 years, 7 years, I don't know how long that year lasted, but it lasted quite a while. Until I moved away. I don't remember exactly what he saw. Let's say 7 years, whatever it is. In that year, we covered on the beginning of Minchas Chinuch till, I don't remember if we stopped in Evet Ivri or we already got into Shloshim. I don't remember exactly. We were in there somewhere, right in the beginning of Mishpot. That doesn't sound a lot. Try it. It's a lot. The year was an hour. That's exactly. Not always an hour. The winter was 45 minutes because we had Mincha was early, you know. I mentioned once to somebody that I have Minchas Chinuch here. So yes, so what do you cover there? I said, I cover from the beginning till Shloshim Nogach. He said, what? How do you do that? I said, no, just keep reading. Just keep reading. I don't see a big deal about it, but okay. Where did that Shia come from? How did Shia come into existence? I'll tell you why. We were schmoozing in the shul about having some sort of a Shia, making something. At that point, anyone wasn't doing anything really. He comes over to me once after the davening, there's still a hate, and he says, you know, they said something like Gemara, right? I'm not a daf yomi person, I was interested in doing that. It called me Hatsoyas there, but anyway. He comes over to me, he still hates out there. He was sitting right here. I was here, and he's sitting right here, and he says, maybe we should learn Minchas Chinuch. So I say, what's happens Minchas Chinuch? Because it'll give me a getam and a geschmack of the iyum from Yeshiva Shior. Could I say no to the man? You figure out how many hours of Talmud Torah de Rabbim he was responsible for. An hour a week, I'd say 7 years. We missed once in a while. I mean, Yontif I did learn, yeah. Cheshbon out the hours. He's not here, Betzalel. He was Cheshbon. Maybe they give Cheshbon, you know. Anytime I made a mistake, he got me. All the time. So, how much Torah he was responsible for? And Talmud Torah Rabbim is Talmud Torah Rabbim. Whatever Talmud Torah is, Talmud Torah Rabbim is a bit on that. Avoida. Now, go back to the settling. I mean, Yedid Hashem. Where are we right now? We're in Betzalel's house. I don't know if any people are old enough to remember the New York Yankees in the Bronx, but they used to call Yankee Stadium the house that Ruth built. This is a house that Betzalel built. We heard from the Yeshiva, a little bit, was Moyes there, but it says in Shulchan Aruch, my husband can be magazine. Not about the Rabbonim, about the Nifta, but whatever. We'll move it over. It's a Makom Torah. It's a Mishkan Mat. He built it. Now, I don't mean he built it with his hands, because he didn't. We were then in Moshe's library room, which was quite small. You remember? Quite small. We were looking for what to do. We had to buy a house, build some backyard. I wasn't like in those days. They called me up and said, we got a new idea. Saul Lampert came with a new idea. What? Do over his basement. I said, what? That sounds interesting. So the next time I come back, they said, let's go to the basement. And me and Moshe Friedman, I think Weinstein was there. And we see the basement. There's only a lot of room there, but to say there's a churva was not an exaggeration. Not a churva. Oh, like a shul. Plus, the ceilings were low. I think they were 6 feet at that point. You'll note they are not 6 feet right now. I mean, this is Ramesh's his expertise. Only I wouldn't have gotten involved personally. We dug down 6 feet, and we made this. But who in his right mind would allow people to do that? He's upstairs. The basement's ending over there. We're going down 6 feet. What's going to hold up the house? The house got to hold up, you know. He's still living in a house with a mishpacha. So, of course, the Moshe comes to the rescue with a 2-ton beam. I remember when they brought it in, a long steel beam, which they laid this way, which would take over the support of the house. And he also had up on the sides, I don't remember what they're called, like wooden things to support that. So get clapped, we're here. We didn't, the house did not fall in. But who in his right mind would let you do that? Well, I mean, come on. You want to build a shul? Okay, I'll help you. I'll donate. I'll do this. I'll yes. What are you digging out my house? I'm living up there. Plus, how long did it take us, Moshe, then? I remember a year. How long did it take the whole year? More than a year, I think. 6 months. That's 6 months of living with dirt, dust, and noise. There were these little guys down here. I forgot what planet they came from. On these little, looked like scooters, and they were digging out with them. Like it was a mirror digger's ass, you know. The noise was crazy. I mean, living up there with a mishpacha, noise, dust, all of that. Who would do it? Who would do such a thing? The Lampert did it. You know what? Why not? Why not? So I say he built the shul. That door, I don't think, was ever locked. I don't think so. This one locks up. This one I don't think locks up. I remember when we were planning the whole thing, I asked him, you know, Omega B'Smedrash here, I may want to come in sometimes to learn, you know, so give me the combination so I'll be able to get in. You have to give me the combination. The door's never locked. I don't think the door's ever locked. Somebody said, this place, I'm sure I'm mamish. Mamish, I'm sure I'm. That, in my opinion, goes into Avodah. Building a Mishkan. It's in Hilchos Beis Abchir in the Rambam, but it's right before Avodah. It's in Sefer Avodah. It's in Sefer Avodah. Now, he not only built this building, he maintained it. You know, it's easy to come to a shul and daven, it's nice, and you know, but if nobody sets the lights from the marshal, the clocks, it's not geschmack, that's a geschmack to daven here. We had it once, one of the clocks. This whole part of the shul is dark. Of course, my side, if I take that. I mean, you come into a shul and the floors are dirty. Who cares? You're right. Well, the mice, it's on the dam. It's hard to dam when a place is dirty. Or the walls are schmutzig. Who took care of that? Who kept this place clean? I didn't. They called me the Rov. I didn't do it. Believe me, I didn't do it. He did it. I don't know if he swept the floor. He got a lady to do whatever, but he maintained this shul in all of the Gashmius aspects. And the shul has a lot of Gashmius aspects. I mean, it's a Ruchni Chazak, I says a yeshiva, but there's a lot of Gashmius going on, you know what I mean? You got to paper towels, you know. You got to have this, you got to have that. It's all Gashmius. But for him, it was Ruchnius. Because the Bali Musa taught us that Zayin Gashmius is mine Ruchnius. When I clean the floor that you should be able to daven, that's a Ruchnius. Mach nicht Kintohos here. It's Ruchnius. And it counts a lot of points up there, a lot. The lights, the cleaning, the opening this safe. So I got some arocha. Who's doing it now? I have no idea. I remember once she got away the first time, I couldn't get it open. Instead of 10, we couldn't get the thing open. Mishing the Sefer Torah. What do you even think about it? You come to shul, I didn't want to see him. It wasn't my master. It's only here because someone did it, you know. Eliyahu Novi doesn't usually come to do these things. That's from what I know. He's only does it. He did. The Kiddushim. You ever had Kiddush in the shul? He served it. Put out some stuff. The kugel came down from upstairs. Who brought it? The Betzalel. Who cut up the kugel? Betzalel. Even the plumbing he took care of. We'll stay out of the details. But his sons will tell you what he called himself. He did that too. And I say that too is Kula Ruchnius. Because he did it that I should have a place to down. And you should have a place to down. It's a Kula Ruchnius. Kula Ruchnius. Halavai men neila davening should be the Ruchnius of that plumbing job. Halavai. My son just told me an interesting maisa. He was, very recently, a few days ago, he was talking to Akiva Eisenberg. They were timing that maybe there'll be a lot of people here. So there was a Hashem with fit, but there was a tzad, they timed, maybe take out the table. They used to do that on Mo when you had a big symbol. They got a table, loads of chairs, got a lot more people in here. Yeah, Baruch Hashem wasn't necessary, but they were discussing, maybe. And then, Akiva Eisenberg looks at my son. My son looks at him and he says, "Who's going to put away the tables?" Betzalel. And it's all. That was the posh knee-jerk reaction. Who's taking away the tables? If he said so, Betzalel. What was going to do? Not going to ask me to do it. I didn't like him. Avoida. Gemilus chasod. Gemilus chasod. Really interesting, Rabbeinu Yoin, in last week's parak. We spoke of his Torah. Torah needs a klei kibul. Torah doesn't land on all people. I mean, they may become professors of Talmud, that could be. But Torah doesn't rest on just anybody. What am I hearing about Yena? We all know the Mishnah, Em ein derech eretz, ein Torah. Says Rabbeinu Yena. Reitz aloyma. Shetzorich tchilo lesaken atzmoi b'midas. First, he has to fix himself up with midas. His midas should be good. Ubozeh tishken ha-Torah olav. Then the Torah can rest on him. She'eineno shoichenes le'olam. The Torah will never rest. Beguf she'eino balmidas Torahs. I don't know if you should publicize it, Rabbeinu Yonah. It's scary. You may make a lot of people faint, but that's what it says. Yeah, for couldn't say she in the shoe. Okay. Not midas we've heard. And what we're saying from that measure of Torah would have to have a measure of midas before it. And that brings us to another thing you wrote in Yitzettel here. You did kol adam. You did kol adam. He worried about everybody. He loves everybody. He wanted there should be shalom. He wanted there should be shalom between all people. Em is ongegangen if I wasn't b'shalom with him. Not with him. Everybody's bothered if you have shalom with him. He was bothered if I wasn't shalom with you. He couldn't handle my couldn't handle it. It wasn't in his it wasn't in his. Okay, I don't remember the word, but anyway, his vocabulary maybe. Okay. Yeah, I told somebody jokingly the other day. I said, what's a gabbai in that shul? Part of the job description, in my opinion, of a gabbai is the machlokes. This guy's a tiny because he gave him Ravi instead of Shlishi. This guy has a tiny because he gave him Shlishi instead of Shishi. You're not a tiny, he gave him Shlishi instead of Shishi. And this guy, Bechlal, is for tiny because he didn't give my shver anything. Does a life of gabbai? Does a gabbai? If you ask me, that's a job description. With him, there was no tightness. Not him on anybody, and anybody on him. I never saw anything like that. For the last 6-7 years, he was the gabbai here. No tightness, no nothing. Nish this way, nish this way. Look around at your gabbai. Just see how many times you'll bump into that. Halavai, but it doesn't usually work that way. What was on his mind? You talk about Midas. It's really been brought out already, but the measure of a man is very often measured, or can be measured, by what occupies his mind at the end. When you're running around and you're making money and you're marrying off your kids, okay, you got to do what you got to do. But you went close to the end. That's finished, you know what I mean? You're on there anyway. You can see what a person really is. But as a person gets more and more, shall we say, distance from this world and closer to that world, more and more of the coverings fall off. More and more of the pretenses fall off. First, the defenses go down. The person is weak, the defenses go down. You can't, You can often see the real person at the very end. What was he concerned with at the very end? I was not there at the last day. I was planning to come visit the next day, Thursday morning to New Haven. And then we got the call Wednesday afternoon. My son, as I'm saying over my son, he visited him Wednesday morning, 2 weeks before the P'tir. I came with my Rebbetzin that afternoon. You came also, remember? I was there when you came. So that's 2 weeks before the P'tir. Betzalel was a very intelligent person. He knew things were winding down. He still told me he's optimistic, of the Torah, but he knew that things were winding down. This wasn't working. That wasn't working. The kidney started blinking on him then. What did he tell my son? My son asked him, who took over the Gabos, who took over the shul over there? We were kidding. I mean, 5 people do what he did. I don't know, 5 will do it. Maybe 7. It's unbelievable. So my son Nissen asked him, who's taking over all the things? To which Betzalel said, I gave over all the jobs, except one. Because this was so important to him, he hadn't found the right person to give it over to. What was the job? There was a mishpacha here. A father came with his sons to the Adam. I don't know anything about this. Betzalel felt that the boys in that family need chizuk. And my son tells me he didn't know that either, but looking back, he saw that Betzalel was always on top with those 2 boys. He gave him a good vote, a slap on the back. He felt, I don't know, and the details, I don't know anything. But he held that they need special attention. He hadn't yet found a person who could take over that job. This is 2 weeks before the P'tira. There's a man who's going downhill fast and knows it. He's concerned with 2 boys in the shul who he thinks need people. Ad k'tei kach, he doesn't know yet who to give it over to. So I say, wichtig bei him. You know, what can I say? Elim ala Yosef. He asked my son to ask his sons. My Eniklach one is, was it 14, 15? More or less 14 or 15. It seems, I don't know, I'm not sure a lot of years now, but they always drag around the Almud by Galila because they like to get Galila. And my son told me the truth is he often gave it to them, quite often. But once in a while there was a guest, there was a simcha, someone else he felt they had to give the Galila to, another kid. He asked my son, that mechila from your boys, if I didn't behave properly with the Galila. You took it 2 weeks before the P'tir. I don't know if anybody's concerned about that. He's 42 and going strong. Big deal. Galila, 2 kids. He gives them every other week. Galila. What's a big deal? It's a big deal. Yid was thought perfected midas. That's a big deal. There's an invite from them. I am anyway. Then he told my son, it seems my Einiklach used to help clean up the shul Motzei Shabbos. And he would pay them something. He asked my son, make sure that I don't owe your boys any money. I think that was the last time my son saw him. I think, listen, it was the last time. I think so, I don't know. Now, these midas, you know, you call them midas taivas. It doesn't do the job, you know. It's more midas taivas. I don't know what this is exactly. This is superhuman midas, if you ask me. This led to the next step of Milas Sodim. Somebody said before that if you love everybody, so of course you're going to do mechazah. I mean, your wife will even do a chesed. Your kid, you wouldn't do a chesed. I mean, like, guess the grubby young, you're going to do it. No. If everybody you love, so you'll do it for him too. That's what I was saying. It was a double portion. It was just a double portion by him, the Gemilas Chasod. And together with the Rebbe's, we've heard a lot of stories. I'll just tell you a few stories, personal stories. He was going to chesed with everybody. As the Zettel says, you did call Odo. Even my little Einklach, you did for them. He was concerned with them. Maybe it will hurt. Maybe he owes them 50 cents. But let's see. When I was still here, one of my daughters got engaged, and we had to make Shabbat Sheva brachas. Up till then, we had made Shabbat brachas in our house. It was a nishka fancy mansion. I like it in the house. But the family was growing. The autumn, the Choton had a very big family. We said, we're not going to make it. We can't make it in the house. So the next thought was to make it in the shul. I figured that much I can get. I'm the rabbi. You know, I'll give me the shul. So there were certain problems there, obviously, because you can't set up for the day meal until you finish davening. There's certain technical problems there. It's not going to work out with mincha, you know. So I was here with my wife. We were looking over the place. I was staying over there by the door to the what do you call that room over there? So this way, that way. Then Betzalel came down, and Rebbetzin came down. 4 of us were standing there. Could we do it? It was a winter. It was Chanukah, a week after Chanukah, so it was early Friday. So even if we set up after the Friday night meal, it's not going to be too late. You know, we're trying to work it out. Then out of the blue, Betzalel says, his Rebbetzin said, I really don't remember. But they spoke as one, that's the truth. Why don't you make it upstairs? I looked at my wife, she looked at me, upstairs? That's not what I came here for. I came here to use the shul. I happened to be the rub of the shul. I figured I could use it. Everybody else does it. I didn't ask somebody to use the house. It's a dining room. What are you talking about? It's perfect. It'll be perfect. It's bigger day, set up. So we had the Sheva brachas in what I call the Lampert Simcha Hall. And I want you to know that the prices there are very good. You cannot beat them. They gave us the house They only gave us a house. I begged them, at least stay for the sudas. Let us give you the meals. No. Every time what teretz, the kids are impatient. I don't like to hear the drushes. I don't either. You know what? You gotta stay. Alam ola teretz. Once he went to Wisconsin for Shabbos. He gave us the house for Shabbos. He got us the house. Forget he left. It's a little human. I'm supposed to be human. Now it gets better. About 4 years later, I have to check with my wife. 4 years or 5 years when my next daughter got married. By then we were living in Lakewood. We were pretty new to Lakewood, so we got a problem. Where should we make the Shabbos Shabbos? Our house there is much smaller than our house here. It wasn't a Meduber Afilo. And we didn't know the places there. And, you need to put people up in the neighborhood. We didn't have, at recently, we didn't really know people so well. We weren't sure how to move on that. I don't know if I said to my wife said, it's crazy, but maybe we should call Betzalel and ask him if we could do it again. Now, think about it. This is really nuts. I mean, we live in Lakewood. There's a lot of Jewish homes in Lakewood. You should know that. A lot. Maybe think what's going on over there. Every day people are moving in over there. I'm 2 years away from here. I've nothing to do with the shul really anymore. I used to come over here. I came the first few years before you started. Week. Hello, what does that have to do with me? Oh, by the way, what's the shayla? It was partial by us that that's what you're going to do. So that Shavuot was here also that Shabbos. And that Shabbos, I think he went to Gansen for Shabbos. Once I got him to stay for the Suda by Tog, and when I got up to speak at the beginning, I thanked him. I said, what's wrong? He was upset. I left. Just can't find him. I left. Okay. Now, it gets better yet. 2 years later, came out to the day, my youngest daughter got married. Like the whole time with the Shabbos brachas. By that time, we knew a few more people in Lakewood, but the places there, we didn't know. They're not cheap either, that's the truth. We weren't, maybe let's go one more time. This is the last time, it's my last daughter. So I guess my wife probably called his wife, I probably didn't call. Well, of course, what's the shot? You made the other see it. Why make the This is about 5 years after we moved out of Muncie. The only shaykhs I have with this shul, besides my friends, is that I wrote my name over here. I don't know why I did that either. I didn't know what they're doing over there. That's my shaykhs. Get me the ganze house for Shabbos. It's beyond me, it's beyond. I know I'm boring you, and I'm almost finished. I told my wife, I can't come here and speak about Betzalel for 5 minutes. I can't. It's not bizarre. This is also bizarre because we go 4 hours, but everything has a share. We had a bocha in our house on Bloomberry Hill. We had a little apartment attached. It was a garage. Somebody made it into an apartment. Whatever. We had a bocha from Moshe Meich living there. I was getting a little bit older. Somebody once tells my wife a suggestion for a shidduch for him. The Sant and Almona with Reikin Dalach. So my wife read the shidduch. And Baruch Hashem, she guided it through. Once they gang. They now have 7 kids to Zaman, besides those 3 kids. So, okay, he's a chasam. We gotta make a, what do you call it? We gotta make a vort. So my wife said, this guy, a lot of people, so I knew him, he was on Shmer Talmud, not at that point. He was teaching somewhere. What do we do with the vort? Where should we make it? I think, oh, hell. Anyway, I don't know, but somebody tells me, did you hear the vort is Sunday afternoon in the Lampert Simcha Hall? So I say, oh, golly, wow, that's great. We know what to do exactly. Okay, good. So I come with my wife to the vote. I give us to the house, and then I see Betzalel there. I said, sure, what's that, sir? So, how do you know the Chosin? Where do you know him from? He says, I don't know him. I don't know who he is. Can you point him out to me? What's going on here? You make a vote in your house. make a void and say, it's a Lashon Nikiya. He paid for it. Who paid for the food? I didn't pay for it. The Bacher didn't pay me that bread percent. He paid for it. The Bacher didn't know. At the fort, he didn't know who he was. He has to point him out. And the chesed we all remember, and he did with his shvoga. He again with the Rebbetzin together. I mean, again, das ist genug chasodim. And my opinion, the crown of glory is that all of this, Torah, Avodah, and Gilus Chasodim, was done b'hatzdei aleches. My opinion, that is the Kes Hashem Tov Ola Gabeim. Hatzdei aleches a gute Zach. Micha tells us, Higi l'chod matoiv, mu Hashem doirishim. What does Hashem want from us? Kiyim asois mishpot, okay. Vavas chesed, okay. Hatzdei aleches im elakecha. Since there's a vav over there, it doesn't mean mishpot havas chesed hatzdei aleches. Do it as I let it. It's a zach in Sof itself. Hatzdei aleches im elakecha. Hashem wants people to be b'hatzdei aleches. People don't know that today. Don't say I said it. They'll think I'm crazy. But that's starting to know me. Very unpopular thing today. Now, what does it mean exactly? So the Mitzudah says, can I find the Mitzudah here 1 minute? Yeah. What does it mean to say leches? Lo leches im elakecha. B'darkei mitzvosov. Okay, legitimate. Bitzin. Private. Loi bepirsum rav. Not with a lot of publicity. Ule his yoher. And to show off, so to speak. Hashem wants his mitzvahs done. B'atznei leches. Bitzin. You do what you got to do. Because you got to do what you got to do. He, I think, in my experience, was the greatest sanua I ever met. He was mamish to be tzl calls of Yisrael and omen mutznu. Nothing. 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 No credit. No this. No that. Why do you learn Torah? So all is said and done, that's the answer. Why do you avoid them? Hashem said so. Why am I going to chesed? Why do I need this taivas? I don't, but why should I? Because Hashem said so. It's called Minish Gaon Shvada. I don't deserve a plaque, my name on the paper. We live in a world where, they measure how great you are by how many times it picks in the paper. 5 times into Godel. 6 times, going to Godel. 7 times, forget it. You had to grow. By the way, it's good to know that the Gross said, I completely not know what I'm talking about, but an old man is rambling. The Gross said, then when he took his Arba Minim and he shockled them. Now, you're talking about a man who knew all the Sidus that there were to know. The Chalosh said in the Kabbalah, he thinks he knew the Moshel. Kabbalah is a Moshel. He said, I think my Rebbe knew the Nimshel. He did not. He said, I don't know the Nimshel at all. I get the Moshel. I got it straight from him. But the Rebbe, I think, knows the Nimshel. You're talking about a person who knew everything. All the secrets. All that's going on when you shake your lulav and esrog. Maintenance, it says, things are going on up there. Big things. If you're doing it right. But he said, I take the Dalet Minim, because the Eibishter said, if to all the excitement, if to all the business, that's what he wants. Okay, we mentioned just Rosh Prokim, really. Idach Prusha Zul Gemar. There's a lot to learn from this individual. I wish it should help that we should be zoiche to learn from him and to go b'drochov, and thus to do what the Rambam tells us is misabel kemo shetzivu chachamim. That is the way one should be misabel. Yefashmish v'maisov v'yazav b'tshuva. We'll learn from him, hopefully. We'll try in some small way, to apply it, and not let ourselves fall into the trap of what Yirmiyahu tainted on the Yidden Den. He keeps oisam v'loicholu. I gave them a patch, and Yirmiyahu says, "You gave them a patch," and they didn't. They didn't take it seriously. They did not wake up. So let's take it seriously. We don't need Yirmiyahu talking about us. You know what I mean? Let's be misabel koroi. The Rambam wants us to be misabel. If we can do it, we're being native to ourselves. We'll become better people. We'll chaparate some tshuva now. We take a beat the late season rush. Won't be so frenetic, you know, every Rosh Hashanah. You know what I mean? And it'll be an ilu neshama. L'nishmoso ha'tohira of Rebbe Betzalel ben Moshe Yehuda Halevi, zechreni livrocha, the echad miyuchad in our chabur.